Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus once again. I want you to take a little bit of your time and share with me, if you will. I'm constantly coming to you and I'm talking to you about God. I'm living in a country where God has been so misrepresented. The people don't want to hear anything about God. And looking at me, I can imagine what you are thinking in regards to that. Nevertheless, I have to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, that it is absolutely necessary. I have to be here. The reason why is because I know something that most people do not know. I'm not bragging. That's a fact. I know that there is a God. I know that. Most people believe that. And the power of their belief is evidenced all around us because we're sinking deeper and deeper in hell. So my knowledge of God must have a purpose. And that purpose is to remind you that God is. Not just in words, but in deeds as well. What am I saying is, let me back it up, ladies and gentlemen. I live in this world, and I know how we are. I live in America. I was born here in America, so no one can tell me to pack my bags and leave. I got just as much right here as I have on being on the earth. And what it is, ladies and gentlemen, what it really is what we have been exposed to. Most of us have been exposed to a society that, as far as we know, is perfect. In fact, it's probably divine. That's what we are led to believe. As we mature, we find that there are some things that's a little shaky about it, and maybe that can be fixed. And usually it depends upon what side of the fence we're on that determines how we feel about a thing. If it's working for us, we don't have that much to complain about. If it's working against us, that's all we got to do is complain. And when you don't have anything, you really got nothing else to do. But to have a knowledge that no one else has no excuse in allowing such a one, I don't care how low you are, to stay there when you got the greatest sound coming out of your mouth than anybody on earth. So I say to myself, ladies and gentlemen, I have to acknowledge that I'm living in a country that I do not like. I don't like the way we are as a people. I don't like the way we are as the product of our being the way we are. I don't like the pain and suffering. And I don't like the hate. I don't like, and I think about it, ladies and gentlemen. I think about it. Some of it is just numb to us. When I was a boy, I used to watch television and I'd see the army, that cavalry, beating up the Indians. I'd see them breaking contracts. I'd see them defying treaties. I'd see them doing whatever they wanted to do. Whatever they wanted to do to get what they want, they did it. They used they used lies, and then they just outright kill you and take it. I saw that. But to me, just to show you how the programming goes, I thought it was fine that cavalry taking land so that we, because I consider myself a part of everything, could have land to live. I mean, they made it to a person like young like that think that that's the only way you could have land. That's the way only way you can have shelter is to take it from people. And so it was fine with me. Sorry, natives, that's the way it came out. I never knew anything about slavery, not at that point in time. But when I found out what they had done to people that looked like me, all of a sudden my history took on a different picture. And I would think when the women recognized how they were treated, they should take on a different picture. When I think about the 99% of this country who are complaining about the 1%. You would think that it would take on a different picture. Well, how can it take on a different picture when you dare not to even imagine? Because to imagine says you got to be out of your mind. That is where the secrets lie, ladies and gentlemen, in your imagination. A lot of things are revealed through the imagination. Now I'm thinking about the world we live in. And I'm thinking about how time produces where we're going faster. Now I'm really amazed, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm trying to say that all of us, all of you, everybody in the world, we have been deceived. Let me tell you how you can know you're not. If everybody in your nation is happy, is thrilled pink, there's no poverty, there's no crime, there's no violence, you're almost there. You're almost there. That's the first step. You got to get that right. Now, if you got that right, it won't be long before some of the neighboring countries, the neighboring nations will see you and what you're doing, and they're going to want to find out how to do that. But if that's not happening, then every nation everywhere is false, fake, false and fake. And all of the people everywhere who sit back and say this is okay, you are as responsible for it as those who says let's do it. And those of you who say, well, it's not okay, let's do something about it, but we can't do so much, let's only go in increments, then you, my friends, are just as bad. If you can sit and say 100, well, everybody else is doing good out of the million, just 100 is suffering. That's not so bad. You are low down as anybody can be. But don't stop there. If there's one, that means that this one has the weight of the whole world, all of the people, on its shoulder because they got everything. He got nothing. And if they went to God and said, Lord, what would it take for me to be saved? He would tell them, take everything you got and go sell it, get rid of it, and give it to that one. And then you come back. Then you're saved. So what am I saying to you today, ladies and gentlemen? I'm saying that I'm hearing politicians say to you what they want to do. I have proposed to you that when a person comes to you saying they want to serve you in any capacity at a political level, that you ask them, what is your proposal? Don't just tell me what you want to do, tell me how you plan to do it. Because you might need some help in your thinking. Require that of every last one of them. If they can't do that, I mean, that's small. How can they do the big thing? How can they make it real if they can't even see it? Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm saying to you, as I've always said to you, that if you want to know what's good for you, if you want to know peace and prosperity and happiness and joy in your life, if you want to know freedom, if you want to know it, I mean, if you deep down really want to know it, then you got to recognize and respect that everybody else might want to know it too. Even if they don't, you don't want to have one iota of stumbling there. So you get a pure heart. It is the pure in heart that should see God. But ladies and gentlemen, and before I really try to get back into that last little leg, I want to remind you that there's evil out here in the world. Everywhere you turn, there's evil. And in everything you do, choice is required. You're going to have to make a choice. Sometimes it seems choices about little small things. Sometimes it seems like choice is going to be about big things. But nevertheless, you're going to have to make choice. Only thing I say to you, be real. Be real, because when you make a choice on being real, then you can learn the real lesson. Don't try to be slick, because the lesson you get going to be slick. And you ain't doing nothing but falling. Be real. Now, I said to you that I have a relationship with God. What am I saying? What do I mean when I say that? I'm saying that I came here on this earth through my mother's womb. She's just a kid, having a kid. I came here through her womb. She and my papa had something to do with that. But there happened something in my life that no human being, no human flesh could have done anything for me. Not one iota of a thing. Mama, Papa, Grandpapa, the preacher, the Pope, the President, nobody on the face of the earth could have done anything for me. But out of nowhere, it was done for me. Out of nowhere, it was done for me. It was done. And at that point in time, it eliminated in my own heart and spirit the value of mankind, which I can see, versus the value of that power that I cannot see. And that power that I cannot see won. But that doesn't mean I immediately understood, because I still programmed by the world. Still a young man who just wanted to make money, drive a real nice car, dress in some fine clothes, be able to get high if I wanted to, smoke weed, get me some honeys. That was the dream. That was the dream, to have a nice job. Cool. Not worried about people who falling behind. All I'm doing is me. But then something else happened. I begin to see your pain. I'm not talking about all of you, because some of that, and I didn't see you, people who were promoting the system, I didn't see your pain. I was still dealing with the pain of other people that's under you. You know who you don't want to have nothing to do with. And it began to bother me. But I still couldn't see it. I still couldn't understand it, because I'm still trying to roll on the high road too. But by me coming into the world with such a young mother and raised by such old people, something was trying to calculate itself there. And what was happening, my friend, was this. I was beginning to say, these old people who raised me, if they knew that all I was thinking about was partying and having a good time, while the world was going through what it was going through with those that are suffering. And I knew all along that the people who go to church don't really do anything about stuff like that. I knew that people who go to church were like paralyzed. I mean, I grew up with them. They weren't doing anything until the 60s that I could see. Now, that doesn't mean before then or whatever, or that anything wasn't happening at that time. I just didn't see it. But in the 60s, Dr. King came along, and I began to see what it meant. What it meant. And so I began to understand. And ladies and gentlemen, here I am today with all of this gray hair, with all of what I'd say is understanding. And I'm saying that the devil is all around you. You got to be careful. The devil is in everybody, all of us, until you shake that monkey out, and that means replacing it with the Spirit of God. Now, when you have the book, people who come to God believing in God, they came through the book. Let me say it again. People who believe in God came through the book. Whatever version you got, your belief in God has to do with that book. I want to say that again, because I'm not knocking you. And I know you know I'm not, because you're so glad I said that. You're just as happy as you can be. Your belief in God, your understanding of God came through that book. Now, there's nothing wrong with that at all. But even for those of you who your belief in God came through that book, if the occasion ever arises, or if it has already, where you saw God's hand and no belief was necessary anymore because you had the knowledge of God, that book has no real value except a story. But now you got living in you. For those of you who refer to the book, you said, Jesus said when he ascended, that I'm going away to prepare a place for where I am, you may be also. But I will not leave you comfortless. I send you a comforter, the Spirit of truth. What they see the Father does here, then that's what it will share with you. And because of this, in paraphrasing, you will need no man to teach you. You don't need no preacher. You don't need no Bible scholar. You don't need nobody at the seminary trying to teach you this. You don't need all of these discussions about this Concordia and this and that. You just need the truth. You need the spirit of love and the truth. And your life will be your backbone. So when I come to you and tell you, ladies and gentlemen, when I sit up and say the Christian community has lost its way, I can say that because the Lord God Almighty's Spirit sent me across this nation sharing about American people are on the path to hell, and talking about God and how to lift God up and to keep a record of it and how people responded to it. This is some 30-some years ago all the way up to now. I've seen how they responded. They responded by going to the polls voting for evil. Now somebody said, well, we voted for Miss Clinton. Well, if you had checked out, if you had any compassion, if you cared about what the others were saying about Miss Clinton, you would have done your research to see if Miss Clinton was like they say Miss Clinton was. And on the other side, if you didn't like Trump, then you did some research to find out if this stuff was true, then you could make that decision. But if you came up saying that they were both evil, how in the world could somebody represent good vote for evil? Not even for a minute. So I'm saying I rest my case with that. So when I come to you talking to you about God, I'm telling you what I know. I'm not talking to you about what somebody knows. I'm talking about a book. I'm talking about what they believe. I don't give a stink what you believe. What you believe have people coming to this border trying to get in because they're in pain and suffering. And your government, your voice stands up and say, hell no, put up a wall. And you start shouting. You start celebrating, putting up a wall. You have got to be a demon out of the pit of hell. You got to be a demon out of the pit of hell. Now, for those of you who are married, men, women, woman, let me tell you something. If you're the woman of that house and that man can't stand you because he wants more money, and you won't go out and get a job and he wants to put you out, let me tell you something. That man is just like these folks who are trying to put up a wall. There's no difference between that man and the folks who are trying to put up a wall. And if it's the reverse, if the woman is working and she want to put the man out because he ain't making no money, there's no difference in her and that who's trying to put up a wall to keep these people out. See, the devil is tricky. Now, you would never think that that marriage situation could be equated with what's going on this big. It ain't no such thing as a little evil or big evil. Evil is evil. And all it takes is another supporter. So what I'm saying to you, better be careful about what you're doing around here. And I'm saying that because most of you church people, you're some of the biggest haters on the face of the earth. Most of you are engaged in the 99%. If I come to you and tell you that the Lord God Almighty said this system is wrong, that he made it possible so that every last one of you could have food, clothing, and shelter, and it is the system that denies you that, and you still support that system, who are you listening to? God or the system? You say, well, who feeding me? I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, who's feeding you? You're the one that's giving your support to the system. You're feeding yourself. But you're giving the credit to the system. By going to the system, you're the one got to do the work. You're the one doing the work. So you're feeding yourself. You're housing yourself. But you're giving the credit to the evil one that's deceived you because he got you doing it for money. Over here, all you had to do was to do it. You didn't have to worry about no debt. You didn't have to worry about no loan. When it came down to education, what you know what education is for? Designed for that purpose, so that everybody could have access to it. You know that. But somebody over here say, no, you got to have it a different way, and you give that support. God says, I want you to be healthy. You can't do it yourselves because you don't know how. You're not that close. So I send knowledge so people can become doctors, those who are touched with the Spirit to do that. So they can protect your health. They can do the research to get the kind of whatever they need. They can do this. But then somebody else says, no, get the money. Play my game. And you play their game. You could have just done the same thing without playing their game. You wouldn't have been locked up under these debts and trying to abuse people. They're looking down at folks because they're not up like you and trying to tell them to pull up themselves about bootstrap. When you every day you doing your thing, you're taking away their boots and their straps. Now God tell that message to you. This is the message that I bring to you. What would it produce? Peace and prosperity and happiness in life. And 99% of you would be satisfied. And that 1% of them would be mad. Why? Because now it is God of nothing. And now they know it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you something. I've been going through this crap. And I'm tired of going through this crap. Now, I don't care who is running for public office. They can't do nothing for me. They can't do nothing for me. I don't care, Republican, Democrat, any other. You can't do nothing for me. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, they can't do nothing for you. They can't do nothing for you. Nothing. Rotate this whole same thing that's been going on even before you came here. They can't do anything for any of us. So I'm not going to vote for them. I had said I wanted to be president, and I thought about how sleep you are, that I wouldn't stand a chance. But then I thought about it again. I don't give a stink if I don't stand a chance. I'm going to stand up and say, I want freedom. I want peace in my life, and I want prosperity in my life. And all of you want to stand against me, then God dog it, then you stand against me. Because I'm going to stand with God, and if you want to stand with hell, then you do it. But I'm not ashamed of you, and I'm not going to try to let you make me feel as if I should be ashamed. No, I know what you're doing. I know that if I could have my way, we'd all be thrilled. But no, you want to impose your way on me. And I still could be screwed like the people who are listening to you. I ain't playing that game no stinking more. So ladies and gentlemen, what am I saying to you? I'm going to run for president 2020. Y'all looking for somebody. Y'all believed in whiteness and you got a white man. I mean, an Aryan white man. I think he wants to be known as that. And he wasn't broke. He said he was rich. He said he was super rich. I looked like the records indicated he stole it. He did some crooked things to get it, but that's the way of the world. Anyway, he promised you some stuff, and all you can see around you is hell. And some of you who support him, you agree with the hell. You think hell is good. But you still don't have the peace. So I stand before you an opposite of that, a black man. Black man. Ain't got a doggone thing. I gave it all up. I gave it up just so I can know what I'm living in. I gave it up so I can know exactly what kind. You talk about the swamp. You talk about the swamp in New York. I want to tell you the nation is nothing but a cesspool. This whole darn nation is a cesspool. Maybe maybe that's what I'll call this presentation. The nation is a cesspool. And I'm telling you, I'm drowning in. But I'm coming up out of this, and I want every last one of you to come out with me. Why do I want that to happen? Because, ladies and gentlemen, the way I want to come out smelling good. I don't want to come out stinking. I want to come out smelling good. And I want to be able to spread this fragrance that you can smell it. And once you start smelling, you start wanting it. And you start cleaning up. And you come out of it, we come out of it together. Because I understand that the power for all of us to come out is in each of us. Each of us have to give our part. So for me to be president of the United States and talk about and be able to materialize that stuff that God has given me to share with you, in order for that to happen, It's going to take every last one of you to have a job, but not just any job, a career of your own choosing. So the system would have to be kind of tweaked a little bit to make sure it's accessible to all of the people who are unemployed to be able to be employed. It might mean going back getting some additional education to prepare you, or whatever it takes. Not only that, everything, when you're doing your gig, all of the gigs basically that we have been exposed to are connected to those resources and things that we have valued as being essential in our lives, are just important in our lives. So any career that you basically come up with will facilitate a continuation of that. But because more of you are working, it will do it in such a way that you can create a greater abundance of things. That those who don't have those kinds of things can have those kinds of things, can have the good things. When you walk through the department stores, when you walk through these factories and you see these wonderful creations, beautiful things that God has presented on this earth, you can have some of those things sitting in your house, out in your yard. The whole world, the whole nation. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I want. And I'm asking you to help us have it. You see, God wants that for all of us. But just because one or two of us want it, we're going to keep on standing for it. But if you keep on rejecting it, we're going to be killed. If we go ahead and do it, we're fine. But if you keep rejecting it, but acting like you might, we'll be killed. And you're going to have to start all over again. So, what I'm saying to you is, let us do it now. It is absolutely real. There's no better time in history than the beginning, than right now. Because we see evil personified. We see how evil Trump was when he came on the scene. We saw how everybody recognized it. And then when he got in power, we saw how all of the people who had been downing him started joining him. So if he get a little bit more hateful, a little bit more evil, a little bit more dirty, those same people are going to start getting the same way. And the next thing you know, we're going to be dead in the middle of hell, burning like fire. And I'm not talking about literal fire. Literal fire would be better. See, so I'm trying to tell you, God wants you to listen to the Spirit. That interpretation of the Bible, everybody got an interpretation. Let me say it again. Everybody got an interpretation. And those interpretations don't even jive. That's why you got so many of them. So many of them. And they don't actually include you. And if they gave you their proposal, it would still leave you out. It would still say some are more special. It would still say some are dirty. I mean, that's what you get out of that book. If you got out of the Spirit, you wouldn't get that. You will get that all are perfect, but corrupted. So move that will cause the corruption, and they are perfect again. So my mission here is to talk as candidate for the presidency of the United States is to say, let's get rid of this corruption. Let's get rid of this corruption. And even that 1%, when they see how wonderful it is for the 99%, they will say, I don't believe I was that stupid, that ignorant, could have had it all the time. So ladies and gentlemen, keep that in mind. I will periodically be coming in on YouTube or Facebook trying to tell you some things that I want you to know and hoping that it will inspire you to wake up and let's give the world a real surprise. Let's change the world. Now, I don't want you to think that I'm naive. The things that I'm talking about is going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of policy changes. It's going to take a lot of things that has got to be done. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? That's nothing. Because you are smart. You might like knowledge about certain things or wisdom, but you are smart. And everything that needs to be done, you've been doing it anyway. So you can still do it. So I'm counting on you. I ain't no doubt in my mind. Anything that I cannot do, I guarantee you there are millions of you can do it. And if I can do it, there are millions of you that can do it better. So you ain't going to have no arguments with me. All you got to do is convince all of us that it's the best because we don't want nothing else. Till next time, this is Eddie Marcus saying bye-bye.